So, Jack, our first sword. Well, actually he's not made of sticks and iron. Or let him talk about him. So yeah, today is the first time we're ever gonna talk about an inanimate object. You know, for someone who, I've mainly reviewed fantasy novels, and this is a first. This is definitely a first, but he's definitely not inanimate, but we're going to be talking about Jack the Sword, who dissed the pen sword. That's my only problem with Jack. Jack is awesome and amazing, and it's to the point where I will think about forgiving him for that remark about pen swords being stupid. I will think about forgiving him for that because he's just so awesome. See, I like the idea of a sentient sword because with how the dwarves explain things, in this book at least, so when they were talking, you know, you had to ask about the chair, you know, this chair made by this person of this land, and such and so forth, and they ask if they can sit in it, so maybe one day the chair's going to respawn. I don't know. But they like name everything because if it has a name, it's important. And Jack has a name and he's super, super, super important. And I can't pronounce his real name. So thank you, Jack, for changing your name. Because I can't pronounce his, like, this. He's literally the Sword of Summer. I mean, it's like the story's about Magnus Chase and the gods of Asgard. But it is the Sword of Summer. It is Jack! So it might as well be titled Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. Jack. Because Jack is, like, literally a Sword of Summer. And I like how it comes out. Like, you always got that whole, the swords talking to him, they, like, feel it's an extension of them and that it just tells them exactly what to do. Except in this case, when Magnus actually starts referring to Jack as a person, he actually starts talking, and oh, that part, I know there is a scene of fighting after that and I saw the scene perfectly, but that was one of those moments where you have to just stop and reread it 5 times. It was one of those moments because that was just so awesome how all of a sudden it just responds, the sword just responds, and everyone's just like, the sword responded. And how would you make a sentient sword is my question, because do you take a soul and then stick it in a sword? Or do everything already have a soul because it has a name and therefore it's important, so it gets a name and a soul? I don't know. Because they were also talking about the whole making things with things that don't exist. It's actually a lot harder to think of things that don't exist when you try, because I've tried. But Jack, is he made of things that doesn't exist? Because it seems like he may be made of things that don't exist because he's just that awesome. You know, he's just that awesome. And I have to bring, so before I bring that up, really, that's all I have to say about Jack. Jack is a really awesome sword. I want to see, like I said with Magnus, I want to see him and Magnus working together more because it seems like, okay, I talked about how Magnus just got introduced to this world. Well, Jack is the entire Norse world. And I feel like Magnus is going to understand the Norse world and be more comfortable with it and maybe get more a handle on his powers the more he learns how to use Jack. The better they become a team, the more that they are a team, the more Magnus is going to understand the Norse world, and maybe even Jack will understand some parts of the human world, because he was like, yeah, I can't really have a flying sword hanging out with me, and Jack's like, I gotta, okay, can't be, let's not do a pen, because that's it, Jack, you're so awesome, he's so great at fighting, I love how he, like, knows all the etiquette and stuff, and he's his own person, but then it comes down to him dissing the pens. You don't diss the pen sword! You don't. You really don't. Now, I gotta be honest though, if the gods of these books allow this to happen, where Magnus and Sam and Blitzen and Hearthstone and Jack go and say need help from the Greek side, I swear, if Riptide starts talking, I might just die right there if Riptide starts talking, for one. For another thing, I might be thinking the same thing Percy is, because let's be honest, Percy would be thinking this is awesome, but did you never talk before? So I swear if Jack starts having a conversation with Riptide, I don't know what I would do better. I don't know if I would be mad that Riptide never talked before, or if I would be too busy fangirling. I don't know. And if they both do end up talking, who would win a fight? Jack or Riptide? I'm leaning towards Jack because I've seen his awesomeness on his own, and he was a god's sword before. So, like, an actual god sword. I also like how he gets, like, choose his owner, and that conflict he has. I kind of want to go into more of how that conflict is, because I don't understand how he chooses his owner. He had an owner, but then, you know, Frey abandoned him, so I get why he wouldn't want to go back and be Frey's sword, but then he went to Magnus, and then there was that whole thing with Smoot, and what happened? What exactly? He was like, I have to go there, and then he ended up choosing Magnus, and I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. So I'm kind of curious to know how that would work a bit more, but other than that, Jack, I love him. I love how he is. Everyone was like, oh, Magnus is just going to be another Percy. It's more like Jack is another Percy, by the way he talks. It sounds weird, but if Percy and Annabeth had a kid that had Jack's personality, I feel like that would be it, because Jack is really smart. But he also loves to make little comments about everything, and he's really good at fighting, and he's sassy, and I really feel like that personality would be if Percy and Annabeth had a son, that you would get Jack. But the personality, not the sword, because that would be really hard to explain if it was a sword. Let me make that clear. That's just how Jack is. He's smart, and a good fighter, but he also is sassy and has like that funny business type. Except the only thing is that he's still his own character, because he can be serious, and that's why he gets his own video. So I love Jack. No wonder why he's floating in this picture. I was wondering why the sword was floating, and now I know why. And I was like, who's Jack? Thank you for not being called some I can't pronounce it. See? I'm with him. It's so hard to pronounce, so, you know, just make it easier. It was funny how he was like, oh, then I'll be Magnus. And Magnus was like, I know why I'm Magnus. And then they had to figure out a new name. But that is Jack for you. The awesome, awesome, awesome sword. Again, I swear, if Riptide starts talking, issues. So, let's take a look at the Rick Riordan tweet of the day. Today, I have a tweet for you that is more funny. So someone tweeted, someone else called dibs on my book. Now, I'm going to be showing you the picture up there in a second. Okay, that's what it looks like. You see it? And Rick's response was, Bast approves. I think Bast would approve. Bast would definitely approve. It's a cute cat, by the way. It's so cute. And that is all for today. Next time we're going to be talking about Sam. I'm sorry I'm like still kind of far in between these things. As you can see, we're kind of dealing with a window issue over at my house. It's like really cold. Yeah, all the snow hit after Christmas. I kind of wanted a white Christmas, and it was pretty white, I guess. I mean, not really. But that was Jack the Awesome Sword of Summer. Is there a sword of fall, winter, and spring? I don't know. But hey, let's try something new. I'm going to ask you a question. Would you want a talking sword? Or would kind of weapon would you want to use, actually? That'd be a better question. So, okay, 2 questions. Would you want a talking sword, or you could answer either or, what kind of weapon would you use? As a demigod, to all you demigods out there, what weapon do you use primarily? I say primarily because it's like you learn a little bit of everything, but you got your primary. Annabeth has her knife, Piper has her knife, Percy has his sword, Nico has his sword, and then, well, Leo has his tool belts. That counts. I'm gonna count that. So that counts. If you can use that as a weapon, that counts. Because, I mean, in this, somebody used a, what, fire extinguisher, I think? They counted it, so yeah, I'll count a tool belt. And then Jason has, again, his swords are popular. Okay, swords are popular, but Frank has a spear. Hazel also has, like, her shorter sword. I can't remember what it's called. But what would yours be? What would yours be? Tell me in the comments down below. What weapon would you use to fight off monsters? For me, honestly, it would either be a sword, as you can tell here. I would so use Succeed Iron if I could. It's daughter Poseidon, so a little hard, but I would totally use Succeed Iron if I could. But, surprisingly, I don't know how surprising you guys might find this, I'd be a bit more bow and arrow. I'm not gonna fire it at you. No. Okay, so thanks for watching. Bye!